Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. The Ratana Sutta. The city of Vesali was afflicted by a famine, causing death, especially to the poor folk. Due to the presence of decaying corpses, the evil spirits began to haunt the city. This was followed by a pestilence. Plagued by these three fears of famine, non-human beings, and pestilence, the citizens sought the help of the Buddha, who was then living at Tathagata. Followed by the large number of monks, including the Venerable Ananda, his attendant disciple, the Buddha came to the city of Vesali. With the arrival of the Master, there were torrential rains which swept away the putrefying corpses. The atmosphere became purified. The city was clean. Thereupon the Buddha delivered this jewel discourse, Ratana Sutta, to the Venerable Ananda and gave him instructions as to how he should tour the city with the Detachment citizens, reciting the discourse as a mark of protection to the people of Vesali. The Venerable Ananda followed the instructions and sprinkled the sanctified water from the Buddha's own alms bowl. As a consequence, the evil spirits were exorcised. That pestilence subsided. Thereafter, the Venerable Ananda returned with the citizens of Vesali to the public hall where the Buddha and his disciples had assembled awaiting his arrival. There, the Buddha recited the same jewel discourse to the gathering. Whatever beings, non-humans, are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, may they all have peace of mind, and may they listen attentively to these words. O beings, listen closely. May you all radiate loving kindness to those human beings who, by day and night, bring offerings to you, offer merit to you. Wherefore, protect them with the diligence. Whatever treasure there be either here or in the world beyond, whatever precious jewel there be in the heavenly worlds, there is none comparable with the Tathagata, the perfect one. This precious jewel is in the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. That cessation, that detachment, that deathlessness, Nibbana supreme, the calm and collected Sakyan Sage, the Buddha had realized. There is not comparable to this Nibbana Dhamma. This precious jewel is the Dhamma. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. 4 ways of describing the Nibbana. The Supreme Buddha extolled a path of purity, the Noble Eightfold Path, calling it the path which unfailingly brings concentration. There is not comparable to this concentration. This precious jewel is the Dhamma. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. The 8 persons extolled by virtuous men constitute 4 pairs. They are the disciples of the Buddha and are worthy of offerings. Gifts given to them yield rich results. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. With a steadfast mind and applying themselves well in the dispensation of the Buddha Gotama, free from defilements, they have attained to that which should be attained, arahantship, encountering the deathless. They enjoy the peace of Nibbana freely obtained. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. As a post deep planted in the earth stands unshaken by the winds from the 4 quarters, so too I declare is the righteous man who comprehends with wisdom the noble truths. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. Those who realize the noble truths well taught by him who is profound in wisdom, the Buddha, even though they may be exceedingly heedless, they will not take an existence in the realm of sense spheres. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. With his gaining of insight, he abandons 3 states of mind, namely self-illusion, doubt, and indulgence in meaningless rites and rituals, should there be any. He is also fully free from the 4 states of woe, and therefore incapable of committing the 6 major wrongdoings. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. Any evil action he may still do by deed, word, or thought, he is incapable of concealing it, since it has been proclaimed that such concealing is impossible for one who has seen the path of Nibbana. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. As the woodland groves, though in the early heat of the summer month, are crowned with blossoming flowers, even so is the sublime Dhamma leading to the calm of Nibbana, which is taught by the Buddha for the highest good. This precious jewel is the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. The Peerless Excellent One, the Buddha, the knower of Nibbana, the giver of Nibbana, the bringer of the Noble Path, taught the excellent Dhamma. This precious jewel is the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. Their past karma is spent, their new karma no more arises. Their mind to future becoming is unattached. Their germ of rebirth consciousness has died. They have no more desire for reliving. Those wise men fade out of existence as the flame of this lamp which had just faded away. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. Whatever beings, non-humans, are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come let us salute the Buddha, the Tathagata, the Perfect One, honored by gods and men. May there be happiness. Whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come let us salute the perfect Dhamma, honored by God and man. May there be happiness. Whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come let us salute the perfect Sangha, honored by gods and men. May there be happiness. So, Ratana Sutta, we'll probably have one more lesson on Ratana Sutta after this one. I don't think we can finish the rest tonight. So probably next week will be the last talk on Ratana Sutta, which has been, tonight is 9th, 10th. So 10 weeks. So, Ratana Sutta is actually the jewel discourse. You can see in this sutta, the Buddha, when he crossed the river, going to Vesali, and there was torrential rain, and then he asked Venerable Ananda to take his bowl and go and sprinkle the water around the city of Vesali. And it seems that in this happening in the course of this trip from to Vesali, actually the Buddha sort of performed some miracles. I mean, Ratana Sutta, we read it every week. We have been reading it for 9 weeks. And have we performed any miracles? So definitely, I think Buddha has some miraculous power. Of course, he has miraculous power. And I think when he actually told Ananda to take the bowl and go and sprinkle water around the city of Vesali, there was this power, the miraculous power of the Buddha actually accompanying Venerable Ananda. And when Venerable Ananda actually recited the verses, because it was the teaching of the Buddha, so it echoes with the power of the Buddha. So during the time when Buddha was in India or in Nepal, North India, the Buddha actually did perform some miracles, quite a few miracles. However, he always tells us that, the supernatural power is not the ends to the means. It's just a means. We should not be what? We should not be wishing or expecting or craving for the supernatural power. Despite we actually put a lot of time in the practice, or despite the fact that it might actually be a very natural consequence. It is a natural consequence. It is something that you will gain by deepening into meditation. Or, some other practices, they deepen themselves into mantra. It could happen. This supernatural power could happen. So, with this Ratana Sutta, the miracles connected with the Ratana Sutta, the jewel discourse, is to cause the three calamities: the famine, the haunting by evil spirits, and the pestilence, causing these three calamities actually to subside and completely dissolve in the city of Vesali. And you can see from this Ratana Sutta at the last three verses, 15 to 17, even the king of heavens, the Sakya, even them, they have strong supernatural power. Even them, they after they heard the Buddha talk about this jewel, talk about this jewel discourse, after they have witnessed, because when the Buddha actually started going to Vesali, the heavenly beings knew that the Buddha was going. So they actually descended into that city and hovering over the assembly hall, waiting for the Buddha to talk about the sutra. So you can visualize, the whole assembly hall was like the deities, the devas are sort of hovering on the top, outside, inside, whatever. And you can see how beautiful that is. You can visualize, how powerful that actually the Buddha could be. And so the king of Sakya, the king, actually also see the power of the Buddha. And they eventually, at the end of this discourse, is that whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come, let us salute the Buddha, salute the Dhamma, and salute the Sangha. So they at the end of the discourse, and they said, let us salute, let us pay respect to the Triple Gem. Because why? You only pay respect because you respect that person. You respect that thing. You think it is a treasure. You think it is precious. So you respect, you treasure it, you cherish it. So that's why this Ratana Sutta is actually so powerful and so effective discourse, and it became a very, very popular discourse among the Theravadan tradition. And I have read from some of the commentary is that the Ratana Sutta, it was so powerful, was so popular, even in Sri Lanka. Maybe Mali and Tissa may be able to tell us whether this is true or not. In the historical old days in Sri Lanka, the king Upatissa II, around 365 AD or so. During his reign, the Sri Lanka was also affected by famine and plague. And the king actually asked the Sangha to recite this sutra. And they did it throughout the night. And then when the morning came, there was a big deep, thick cloud above Sri Lanka. And then torrential rain just came by. And then the famine subsided, and those who actually survived the plague, actually, of course, they survived and they recovered. So then the king Tissa actually proclaimed that when there shall be on an island an evil such as like a plague or a famine or whatever, this should be done. What does he mean by this should be done? It's the recitation of Ratana Sutta should be done. So after that, after he passed away, and then later on, around 850 AD, there was another king called King Sena, S-E-N-A, Sena II, King Sena II. He actually ordered the whole discourse being engraved on a golden plate. I don't know whether that is still in Sri Lanka. Maybe Tissa and Mali can tell me whether they have seen it. Is it still there, Mali?
We used to chant it in schools.
Oh, okay.
And this time, lovingkindness and Karaniyamata Sutta.
Yeah.
Three of them, and it was chanted in Pali. We just memorized, after when you are young and
you can just memorize them.
But we knew what it is. But not so much in detail like you're teaching now.
Oh, I see.
So
but
we didn't really learn the meaning. We just chanted it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But now I know they have during COVID time. In the country there, some of the monks are chanting.
Oh, I see. I want to ask you, is that golden plate that actually being ordered by King Sena II was still there?
See, that's something I didn't know much about King Sena.
Okay.
I have the name, but I didn't know the story at all.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right then, that's okay. Thank you.
No.
Well, thank you. If in the future you found out whether it's there or not, or whether it's true or not, just tell me. But this is what I read about.
Yeah, we can find out.
Okay, good. So you can see this Ratana Sutta is so popular in the Southeast Asian countries, in Burma, in Sri Lanka. Okay, so and in China. Have you heard of it before? No. But it's such a beautiful story. It's such a beautiful sutta. But anyway, okay. So let's look at verse 13. 13 says, the Peerless Excellent One, the Buddha, the knower of Nibbana, the giver of Nibbana, the bringer of the Noble Truth, taught the excellent Dhamma. This precious jewel is the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. So, the peerless Anattaro, that is in Pali, excellent one, the Buddha, Varo, that is in Pali. Anything green is in Pali. Okay. So the peerless one, you have heard me saying that all the time during the Vesak. Is the Buddha, when he was born, he pointed one finger up, one finger down. What did he say? Laurie? Laurie, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. He said, I am the chief and this is my last return
Yeah.
to the earth.
And then, what does he mean by this?
I am the chief.
I'm the chief?
I'm the best.
I'm the best, yes. Nobody surpassed me. Nobody surpassed my teachings. Why why would Buddha say such thing? Wasn't he arrogant to say such thing? I am the best. Nobody is better than me. Laurie?
It's the truth.
Exactly. Nothing can surpass the truth, right? Who can surpass the truth? He is talking about the truth, and he is the first one to tell the truth. After so many Buddhas, he's the first one to come back again, and he told the truth. Of course, between him and now, there's so many people talking about this, and you can see nowadays, especially nowadays, there are so many spiritual teachers in other practices, in other religion. They talk about similar things. They are talking about the truth too, but they cannot say that I'm the best. Nobody can surpass my teachings. Why? Because they come after the Buddha, right? The Buddha was long gone 2,600 years ago. So that's the difference. So nobody can say that they are the best except him, because he was the first one to come back and tell us this truth. Thank you, Laurie. So peerless, that means he doesn't have any peer, because nobody can what? Can be compared to him, right? Nobody. So that's why he said the peerless excellent one is the Buddha. The Buddha is the peerless, he doesn't have any peer. And he's the excellent, he's the most excellent one. So we can see from here, from this verse, the first sentence is started with the most excellent one. So we can see right here that this whole verse is talking about the excellencies of the Buddha, the excellent qualities of the Buddha. Okay, and so we can see that from this whole verse is the excellent qualities that we're talking about is what? The knower of Nibbana, Varanu, the knower of Nibbana, because he knows about Nibbana. He teaches because he experiences himself. And he is the one who found the way to Nibbana. Nobody discovered it before him. Even though there were Buddha before him, they were long gone when he was born. So at his time, during this time, there was nobody except him who actually discovered this way to Nibbana. And because he knows Nibbana, that's why he's the excellent one. So he discovered this path without any teacher. That's why he is peerless. Okay? So he did not have any guide from any teachers. But you were saying, not here, I think it was in Dhammapada. In Dhammapada, I think a few weeks ago, when I talked about that, when he returned to his home country, home city, and his father king expected him to go into his palace to ask for alms, right? And the Buddha thought to himself, I am going back to my city, my father's city. Should I go to my father's place for alms? What should I do? Because he was peerless. Nobody could tell him, Buddha, you should do this, you should not do this, or Gotama, you should do this, no, you should not do this. Not like now, right? I have teachers to tell me, oh, well, this is not right, or this is right. Or you have teachers to tell you, hey, go ahead, this is okay, you go ahead to practice this. Or don't follow this path, this is the wrong path. But he did not. So he thought, well, my father will probably expect me to go to his place for alms because he's my father, and the son coming in, if I don't give face to him, he probably think that I don't respect him. So then because he did not have any peer, what did he do? He went into meditation, he went into contemplation, and he was contemplating. What would the past Buddha have done? If the past Buddha would be like me going into the same city, my country city, to make alms round, what would those past Buddha done? What would they have done? And he said, oh, the past Buddha would be like going into houses, different houses, not going into the relatives' houses. Follow the same route. So when he actually went into the city for alms, he followed the routine, 7 houses. And then his father was very angry because, wow, I'm the king and you're my son. You're coming back to the city and you don't come to your own house. That's disrespectful. So his father went to see him and said, you are very disrespectful, Gotama. You didn't even come to your father's house for alms. And what did he say to the father? This is not your tradition. This is the tradition of the Dhamma. This is not a personal tradition. This is a tradition of the Dhamma. And I am following the tradition of the Dhamma. Isn't that beautiful? So, I mean, when you hear these kind of things, you actually, the Buddha has already taught us, especially us as a monastic, what should we follow? What kind of footsteps should we follow? We should follow the footsteps of our past teachers who are monastics. Right? And we should really think, hey, if that's what I do too. Only nowadays. In the early days of my monkhood, I did not think like that. I think like this crazy brain. But now I do, well, for the last 10 or 12 years or so, I started to think, hey, what would my Sifu have done? What would my Sifu have said if he was in this situation? So I am following my Sifu's footpath, right? Footprints. Correct? Footsteps, okay. So I'm following his footsteps. And he was following his Sifu's footsteps. So you see, that's how we are connected. So the Buddha, he discovered the path himself. He did not have any guide. And because of why he could do that and we can't do that. Because of his perfect parami. How many years of life has he been practicing? How many parami has he been collecting? How many merits has he been accumulating? When we compare to his, it's not even one drop in the ocean. So no comparison, don't compare, okay? And don't complain either. Okay? No comparison and no complaining. Keep doing it. Keep walking on the path. Keep practicing. Keep improving. And all his parami, all his efforts, all his diligence to search for the path of deathlessness. Okay? And so that's why he is the what? That's why he's the best giver. He discovered this entire aspect of the Dhamma. with all this wisdom embracing it. And he actually teaches it. He actually taught the complete Dhamma to us. That's why he was called the bringer of the Noble Path. Remember the second chapter of the book in the Buddha's Word. What is the title of the second chapter? Oh, come on. You have to memorize it. Versha, look it up. Versha. Say that again. Versha, you have to unmute yourself. You crash.
Yeah. No, I didn't touch it. You didn't touch it.
Okay, Versha.
No.
Can't see it.
I don't mind.
Versha.
Speak again, please.
I'll try again.
Good, great
The
to
bringer
hear
of
you.
light.
Huh? The bringer of light.
Of light.
Yes. Second chapter in the Buddha's words. The bringer of light. Dhamma is like light, which lights up the whole dark room. It's like stars lit up the dark night. It's like moon lit up the dark sky. Remember that chapter? It's so beautiful. Right? This is the second time or third time you study this book. You should start to remember some of them now. Otherwise, I will make you memorize one paragraph each week and recite it to me every week. That's what we used to do when we were little. That's why we are very used to memorize things. Of course, with old age, the memory is gone. Okay, so he doesn't just give us the theory stuff, the doctrines. He also gives us a very, very practical style, a technique, a practical path, which is the Eightfold Noble Path. The 37 factors to enlightenment. So that's why he's called the bringer of light. Because if we pursue on this path, the 37 factors of enlightenment, we will what? We will eventually reach the goal. Eventually reach the goal of deathlessness. So, when the Buddha, after he actually attained enlightenment, 5 months after he attained enlightenment, he actually sent 60 arahats, his students, his disciples, 60 of them, have already attained arahatship, 60 of them, and told them, now for the blessings, for the blessings of all of you already attained enlightenment, you should all go out to teach to all these people whom you may meet. With your wisdom, with your compassion, and I hope you will go and teach this Dhamma, which is sweet in the beginning, sweet in the middle, and sweet at the end like the honey, which is wholesome in the beginning, which is wholesome in the middle, and which is wholesome at the end. So he actually sent out 60 arahants. So this truth, This truth, whether it is the beginning, whether it is the middle part, whether it's the last part, is always wholesome because it is the truth. When we understand this truth, when we walk on this path of pursuing the truth, we will start to be inspired by them. And we will start to aspire to walk, to be more diligent on this path. Because when we practice, we experience. When we experience, we understand what the Buddha has taught. And when we understand, we truly believe, wow, this is the truth. Really, this is the truth. And you will not want to go anywhere else. You will not want to dangle here, dangle there. No, you don't want to waste any more time anymore. And in your heart, in your mind, you will feel so contented, even though you haven't reached Nibbana yet. But because you know that you're already walking on this path, you are very safe, and you're very fortunate. So because of feeling that safety, feeling that fortunate, you feel contented, you feel happy, you feel confident, and at times you will feel actually could be a flickering moment of bliss and peace and calm and quietude. I don't know whether you have experienced that. You do? Yes, Pok said yes. You do, right, Laurie? Yeah. So when we are really pursuing on this, then those joy would just naturally come. You don't have to go and seek for joy. Joy doesn't come when you go and seek for it. When you go and look for it, then you start to crave for it. Joy naturally comes when you start to practice. As I said, when you start to let go of your attachment, let go of your stubbornness, let go of your defilements, let go of your afflictions, let go of the craving and anger, animosity, ignorance, the burden will naturally get lighter. When the burden gets naturally lighter, you will be able to fly. You'll be able to walk faster. Isn't it? We are carrying like 10 tons of burden now. Ask Paul, if you have 1 or 2 tons left your shoulders, you will definitely walk lighter, wouldn't you? Yeah. So he is the bringer of this noble path. He actually brought this path to us. This noble path leading to Nibbana, because he has experienced that. He has fulfilled that, and he knew that this is the right path. So because of all this, he's the knower, he knows this, and he gives this, and he brings this. He taught us the excellent Dhamma. There is nothing that can be compared to this Dhamma. And this precious jewel is in him. The jewel of knower, the jewel of giver, the jewel of bringer. The jewel of the excellent Dhamma is in him. And by this asseveration, by these virtues, of all these virtues, and by this truth, may there be safety, security, peace, and happiness. Okay? Got this? Verse 13? Good. So let us look at 14. The past karma is spent, the new karma no more arises. The mind to future becoming is unattached. So you know the bracket is being added by the translator. So in the original Pali, there is the karma word is not there. It's for us English speaking or reading English one is we may not fully understand when the past is spent, the new is no arises. So the translator actually added in the word karma there. So their past karma is spent, the new karma no more arises. The mind to future becoming is unattached. So we all understand this. As I said just now, we all came with a burden. You can call them a burden, you can call it a bag of karma, a bag of past causes that becomes the present existing consequences. So we have a full bag of those consequences. So it doesn't mean that you have big shoulders, you carry more. Doesn't mean that you have small shoulders, then you have less karma. No, it doesn't mean that, okay? It doesn't work that way. But no matter how much karma that we carry to this lifetime, we don't need to find out the causes of this karma because the causes are already in the past. And we cannot change those causes. But here is very important. These two words are very important. Their past karma is spent. Their new karma no more arises. So what we have right now carrying with us is the consequences of the past causes that bring today karma. Okay, so today we have all this from the past carrying them. How can we dispense all this past karma? How? You have been studying the Dhamma for some time, the Chilliwack people. Huh? Versha. Okay. Who is going to unmute? Versha.
Okay. So we have to not sow more seeds.
Okay. But how can we not sow more seeds is for the future? How can we destroy the existing one that we actually carry from the past?
So eradicating unwholesome actions.
Remember, what is that? Pulling?
Weeding.
Weeding, yeah, weeding. Remember that piggy? Remember that picture about the four great efforts? Remember that picture? The piggy pulling the weed? Pulling the weed. Don't just pull the weeds in your garden. Please pull the weeds in your heart garden. Your heart garden. Here. Okay? Your heart garden. You have to pull those weeds out. When you're able to pull those weeds out, one by one, then you are actually what? Destroying that past karma. Okay? But it's actually very, very important right now is once you pull it out, you need to replant. You need to start sowing seeds. It's like people logging. They log the forest, then they plant new nursery trees. Exactly the same analogy nowadays. Okay? So you plant, you pull the weeds and you plant wholesome seeds. You strengthen the wholesome seeds that you already have. And if you do not have those wholesome seeds, you plant them. Plant more. Plant more. Okay? So that is, you don't allow the old ones to become stronger and stronger, but you allow the old, you try to actually weaken the old ones and strengthen the new wholesome ones. Where does our karma come from? As human being in the sensory world. Well, how do we create karma?
I think Molly's hand is up.
Mali? Okay.
From actions and intentions.
Yeah, actions and intentions, but in sensory world, what causes our actions? What causes us to have the intentions?
Attachment, right?
Say that again.
An attachment.
Attachments, yeah, desires, isn't it? Desires. Sensory world, we have sensory desires. So actually we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do because you see, in this sensory world, we are constantly bombarded by so many messages through our senses. And our mind is not grounded enough to actually resist them. Okay? So that is actually not easy. So for the past karma is spent, the new karma no more arises. The mind to the future becoming is unattached. So you can see actually this is when you look at the 12 links of dependent origination. Which link you can actually pinpoint to this a couple of sentences, starting from where? The 12 links of dependent origination. What is 6 o'clock? What is 6, Laurie? Unmute Laurie, please.
Contact.
Huh?
Contact.
Contact, okay. And then?
Is that feeling, Vedana?
Vedana. And then?
And craving.
Yeah. And then?
And then clinging.
Craving is clinging. After craving, what is craving? What is after craving? You?
I thought it was
Huh?
clinging. Not clinging?
No. You become. Becoming.
Oh, becoming. Okay.
Yeah. Yawa.
Then birth.
Yes. So, how could you fit this into the 12 links? Huh?
Tissa has been very patiently holding up his hand.
Oh, Tissa, okay.
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 Well, everything starts from avidya patya sankara. That means ignorance.
Okay, that is for the past life, okay? I'm talking about this lifetime. So avidya, you're talking about the past life, avidya, sankara, and vijnana. You're talking about the past life, the first three of the dependent origination. But I want you to look at this. Okay, the past karma. Okay, let's don't talk about the past karma. Okay, you're right. You're correct that you can actually fit avidya, the first three, into the past karma is spent. But I want you to see how it correlates in the 12 links of dependent origination here.
I think it's not seeing things as they really are.
Yeah.
I mean, even humans, we consider that we have made of 4 entities like solid, fluid, air, and heat.
Okay.
And that's constantly changing.
Yeah, okay. Good. Impermanence, yeah. Cut before
becoming.
Cut before becoming, yes. Cut before becoming. Becoming. Once you have contact, you have a feeling, a Vedana. Then there is a craving. After craving, there will be becoming. So, when we don't want to create new karma, we have to cut somewhere along that path. Somewhere along that path. There is a few spots that you can cut. Yeah, Versha. Yes, Versha.
Is it at the point of feeling so you don't react?
Yeah, you can cut there. That's a very good point to cut there. Because there is contact and you have a feelings. And once you have a feelings, then there will be a craving or reacting with anger, animosity, rejection, right? Pleasant, unpleasant. So that is a good point to cut. So that's where you can actually stop creating new karma. That is one good point there. Go back and study the 12 links of dependent origination. And remember, I have talked about that. There are a few points in the dependent origination that you can actually cut. But at this present lifetime, because we are already born into this human life, so cutting it at the Vedana, at the level of Vedana, is easier. Okay? At the level of Vedana. But not cutting it, well, you can also cut it at the level of becoming, but that is a little bit more difficult already, Yijin. It's a little bit more difficult because you already start craving. You already have craving. Once craving sets in, it's very difficult to cut. We better take our hands in before craving starts setting in, right? Okay? So their germ of rebirth, consciousness, has died. They have no more desire for reliving. So in here you can see if we actually keep pulling out the weeds and we keep planting good seeds, wholesome seeds, eventually when the wholesome seeds become, when the wholesome seeds flourish and become very, very strong, it can take over the weeds. Right? It can take over the weeds. So you have to start to work very soon and very diligent. Don't wait until all the potato fields are covered by weeds. Then you don't have any space for the potatoes. I'm telling that to Paul. Paul is the farmer. Again, yes. So, I mean, it is the same analogy to everything. If we want to correct ourselves, we correct ourselves when the habit is not deep yet. It's not sunk in yet. Right? If we don't correct it, it's keeping every day is sunk in more. So when you are angry or when you are not happy, check yourself and see if you can actually dig yourself out as soon as possible. Don't drown yourself in that emotions, because the more you drown yourself in, the harder you come out. The longer it takes time to come out. We have taken eons to get here, to become a human being. And this life is so precious. As I said last week to the Chinese group, is like having a human life is so precious, like a what? Like a blind turtle, which lived underneath the ocean, on the bottom of the ocean. Every 100 years, it surfaced to the surface of the sea. It so happened that there is a piece of driftwood going by with a hole in there. and the turtle just happened to stick its head out through that hole. What's the possibility? It's actually very rare. So it's so rare that we are being born as a human beings, just like that blind turtle. Every 100 years, it surfaces once, and it encounters this driftwood with a hole, and it sticks its head out and take a deep breath. We, having this human life is so precious, it's so rare. So cherish it. Cherish this human life. Don't drown yourself in your old habits. Don't drown yourself in your old defilements, all the afflictions. You just a basket full of all these defilements, afflictions, and you don't want to let go of them. Why? Because we are so ignorant. We're so blind, blindfolded by all those reactions, by all those reactive behavior. Okay, so that's how a person who is walking on the path, pursuing on the path, because they have received that Dhamma from a wonderful, wise person, teacher. And if they put the efforts in, constantly pull those weeds out, this rebirth, this germ, there is no more rebirth. That dependent origination ends there. Okay? Because he has no more desire for reliving. So in here, he's talking about who, which path, which fruition he's talking about. The four noble person area. Which one do you think this verse is talking about? Huh? Arahat, yes, the Arahat, the fourth state. And when they pass into Nibbana, they don't actually die, because when you die, there is a physical body which dies. But for Arahat and for the Buddha, they don't have this. It's like a stuffed toy. It's empty inside. Right? So they don't have a body to die. They pass into Nibbana. So the Buddha actually compared this. He said the wise men fade out of existence as the flame of this lamp. It so happened at the time when the Buddha was giving this Dhamma talk, it so happened that there was this oil lamp just faded out. And the Buddha said, a wise person, an enlightened person, an arhat, who went into Nibbana is just like this lamp fading out. The lamp just gone out. Like the flame, no more. No more flame, no more fire, no more burning. Remember, there was a sutta in the Nikaya. The Buddha said, we are always burning. We are constantly on fire. Remember that sutta? Good. Oh, at least there is a nought tonight. So that fire, the fire of craving, the fire of animosity, the fire of ignorance, the fire of all these defilements, they're gone out, completely extinguished. No more fire, no more wood to burn, nothing. You have nothing to burn. Where is rebirth? Where is rebirth? There is no more rebirth, right? So everything is gone, right? When the wick, if there is oil, the wick will still burn. When there is no more oil, the wick will not burn. So we need to be very diligent this lifetime. Try to clean out as much karma as possible, okay? Because we don't know about next lifetime. And next lifetime, if we don't know that whether we will be reborn as a human being, so we wouldn't know what are we going to do. Hopefully, like my teacher told me, he said, okay, if you go to hell, go down there fast and come up fast. I said, oh yeah, okay. Because I told him, I said, no, I don't want to look after, I don't want to be in this position to look after, Polam. That was 25 years ago. I said that to him. I said, I don't want that, because you in such a position, when you do wrong things, you create a heavier, deeper karma. Rather than the little potato, they won't create so much deeper and bigger karma. He said, don't worry. I said, then I will go to hell. He said, don't worry, you go down there fast and you come up fast. I wish I could do that. Right? So I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know next life. I have made so many mistakes this lifetime. being this person in this place. But anyway, this whole verse actually praises all the virtues of an arahant. It praises the virtues basing upon their attainment, achievement, mainly the Nibbana, because of the Nibbana. Okay, so if we do not try to actually abolish more karma this lifetime, we better watch out. By the time we die, at the time of the last breath, we don't know what kind of karma will arise and what kind of mind that we are carrying at that moment. And that is very scary. Those Chinese who have actually heard me or had actually participated in my end of life workshops, I always tell them a teaching at the time of death, the last breath. There are three ways of rebirth, three possibilities of affecting rebirth. Is the mindset at that moment, what kind of mindset you carry. So if you're constantly in the mindset of craving, anger, animosity, or whatever, that becomes such a strong habit, or attachment, that becomes such a strong habit, and at the time of death, the mind becomes so weak. That habit would be so amplified, so strong, it can just overrule. That's the first. The second is our karma this lifetime, our actions this lifetime. Okay, so the actions that we have performed this lifetime it is really big baskets of unwholesome seeds. Then, of course, at the time of death, that big baskets of unwholesome seeds will just take over. Or wholesome seeds, or wholesome actions. Okay? And then that is the karma, 隨集隨業隨念. And the last one is the mind, the mindset. The first one, I actually talk about that in the first one is the habit. The first one is the habit. The second one is the karma. The third one is the thought. The thought there. But if at the time of death, the last breath, if there is this thought of something that you regret or guilt or whatever, then you will, that consciousness will just follow that thought. Or you actually attach to somebody, or attach to the money, or attach to your fame, or attach to your children, or attach to your wife or husband, huh? Or attach to your pet, or to Goldie, or to Shalom, then that thought will become the seeds for your next life, right there. So very careful. That's why having a human life right now is so precious. Having a human life, encountering the Dhamma is so precious. And having a human life, encountering the Dhamma, and being able to practice, and even more and more precious. You see, you have three precious. Okay, triple precious. So fade out, that means the fading out of all ignorance, all these poisons, and becoming and craving. All these fade out, completely extinguish. So that's the Buddha used this as an analogy. Okay. So with this verse, actually, the Buddha is praising the Arahant, the jewel, the precious jewel is in the Sangha. And according to the commentary, the Buddha actually ended the recitation, or ended the discourse right here. And because of this truth, may there be safety, security, happiness, and peace. So, we finished tonight up to verse 14. We have really nothing to talk about next week. But I don't know whether you want to actually go on to listen to these 3 verses and do reflections next week, or you want to whatever, or we will save these 3 verses and reflections for next week then. Okay? All right? So we will have reflections for next week. Do you want the reflections questions now? You do? Okay, if you get the reflections questions now, then all of you have to speak next week. All right? All of you. We have 37 tonight on the screen, and then we have 2, 6, 8 here in the hall, excluding me 7. Excluding you? Okay. So 37 plus 6 is 43. So 43 next week, everybody has to talk. If you are not fluent in English, never mind. Somebody can translate for you. You can speak in your mother tongue. I speak Mandarin, I speak Cantonese, and I speak English. So it's okay.
Nobody will join next week.
Nobody will join next week. That is a curse, Eugene. No, I know all of you are very brave.
How about Spanish?
Sorry, Claudio. You can do your own translation then. Okay, so you want the questions? Raise your right hand if you want the questions. Put up your right hand if you want the questions. Reflections.
3,
Only 3?
5, 6,
Okay, all right, okay. Reflections. All right, where's the reflections? Where's the reflections? Oh, right here, right at the end. Here. Reflections on Ratana Sutta. Okay? Okay. Which verse inspires you most and why? Have your faith, sattha, in the virtues of the triple gem become stronger? This is easy answer. Yes or no? But with reasons. And how would that strength help you on this path? Do you think that by this asseveration of the truth will really bring safety, security, peace, and happiness? And why? Now, let us dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to alleviate themselves from all the sufferings, all the miseries, all the dukkha, and be ultimately safe, secure, happy, and peaceful.